Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel Dhyani classes. If you are watching my video for the first time, do subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so that I get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So in today's video we will cover the third part of the chapter Lost Spring, written by Anish Jung from class 12 CBSE. So let's get started. So in the second part of the chapter we have seen a daughter-of-law just hide behind the broken wall and tries to cover her face with the loose end of the sari when older man enters inside the house, as it was their tradition to cover their faces, and said Mukesh's father was an improvised bangle maker in the family. So let's begin with the final part of the chapter now. Despite long years of hard labor, first as a tailor, then a bangle maker, he has failed to renovate a house, send his two sons to school. So here the author describing Mukesh's father that he was very poor, and despite long years of all these years of making bangle, and earlier he was a tailor, but these two jobs were not enough for him to earn more money in order to renovate his house, and even he was not able to provide education to his children, and says all he has managed to do is teach them what he knows, the art of making bangles. So whatever Mukesh's father taught his two sons, it was only about the art of making bangles. That means the way of making bangles, because he has been making bangles for many years. Further she says it is his karam, his destiny, says Mukesh's grandmother, who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. So here the grandmother was sitting there and she spoke to the author that it is his karam, his destiny. That means it is our fortune or luck that we have only a way of survive in this world, and that is only bangle making, because they cannot do anything else. And says who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. That means she had seen her own husband become blind because he was also bangle maker, and he used to polish the glass, and due to dust of glass the small particles of glass got into his eyes and lost his eyesight and became blind permanently. So due to this profession of bangle making, many people lost their eyesight, including children as well. Can a God-given lineage ever be broken? She implies. So the grandmother also said this tradition of making bangles has been given by God, and it is also their fate to do bangle making. And on the other hand, she is also pointing out this bangle making tradition, that can we break this profession of making bangles or not. So lineage means tradition. And further she says, born in the caste of bangle makers, they have seen nothing but bangles in the house, in the yard, in every other house, every other yard, every street in Firozabad. So here she said that they were born in a bangle making family and they had to follow the tradition of making bangles, and throughout their life they have seen only bangles all around, such as in the house, in front of the house, and every street in Firozabad, because this was their traditional profession and the only way of earning money. Spirals of bangles, sunny gold, paddy green, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the 7 colors of the rainbow, lie in mounds in unkempt yards, are piled on 4-wheeled hand carts pushed by young men along the narrow lanes of the shanty town. So here the author is saying that she could see spirals or bundles of bangles were all around in different colors, such as sunny gold, paddy greens, royal blue, pink, purple, and there were bangles all of the color of the rainbow, and says lie in mounds in unkempt yards. That means there was a heap of bangles lying on the dirty place in front of the house, and sometimes bangles also dumped on the 4-wheeler hand carts, and these hand carts pushed by the men and take these hand carts with different varieties of bangles around the small street of the town and sell them. So unkempt yard means a dirty yards, and shanty town means a small town. Further she says, and in dark hutments next to lanes of flames of flickering oil lamps sit boys and girls with their fathers and mothers welding pieces of colored glass into circle of bangles. So here the author is saying that the house where the bangle makers lived was dark and very small, and next to them there were flames of flickering oil lamps where their children used to sit along with their parents and help them molding pieces of colored glasses into circle of bangles. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. That means these children are more comfortable sitting inside the hutments with flame of flickering oil lamps because they spend a lot of time molding glasses inside the dark hutments with dim or flickering light, and says that's why they often end up losing their eyesight before they became adults. So here, as the children keeps looking at flickering lights and the sometime high flame of soldering machine or dust of glasses impact their eyesights, and this is the reason why most of the children in this town loses their eyesight before they become adults. Savita, a young girl in a drab pink dress, sits alongside an elderly woman shouldering pieces of glass. So later on, the author met a young girl and her name was Savita, and she was wearing pink dress and she was sitting alongside an old woman, and the old woman was busy making bangles while soldering pieces of glass. As her hands move mechanically like the tongues of a machine, I wonder if she knows the sanctity of the bangles she helps make. So here the author was noticing a young girl named Savita that her hands move mechanically like the tongues of a machine. That means she was making bangles very fast as machine and keeps with the same pace one after another. And then the author wondered whether Savita knows the importance of these bangles or not, because she was doing her job very fast without knowing anything about it. So sanctity means value or importance, and further she says it symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag, auspiciousness in marriage. So whatever bangles Sabita was making, it symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag. That means when a woman becomes a bride, wear these bangles and gets married to a man, and after getting married, they wear all these precious bangles and plays a precious role in wedding ceremony. So in this way, she says it symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag. It will dawn on her suddenly one day when her head is draped with a red veil, her hands dyed red with henna, and red bangles rolled into her wrist. So here the author is saying that this young girl Savita will understand the value of these bangles only when she will be getting married, and her head will cover with a red veil and her hands dyed red with henna while wearing red bangles into her wrists, and then she will realize the value of importance of the bangle that she was making. She will then become a bride. So author thought that Savita would realize this when she would become a bride, and says like the old woman besides her who became one many years ago. So that means the woman who is sitting beside her knew the importance of making bangles, and because she had once become a bride many years ago, and she still has bangles on her wrist but no light in her eyes. So the elderly woman lost her eyesight because of making bangles, but still she was wearing bangles on her wrist because these bangles symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag. Further she says, "एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया," she says in a voice drained of joy. So here the author is saying the old lady said in a voice drained of joy that we are even not able to manage one time full meal in a day, and said she has not enjoyed even one full meal in her entire lifetime. That's what she has reaped. So she said that as we are doing this traditional business of bangle making for many years, but still they are not able to earn enough money, and they are still very poor, and even they are not able to manage one time full meal in their entire lifetime. Her husband, an old man with a flowing beard, says, "I know nothing except bangles." So the old lady's husband was sitting there with a flowing beard and said, "I don't know anything other than making bangles in order to earn more money to manage a full-time meal in a day. All I have done is make a house for the entire family to live in." So here the old man also said, "I have been able to build a house for the family to live in." Hearing him, one wonders if he has achieved what many have failed in their lifetime. So here the author thought that this man got a huge success in his life because he was able to build a house for the family, because there were many people who used to do bangle making and they have not been able to build a house, and says he has a roof over his head. That means the old man at least has a house, and there are many bangle makers who don't have even a roof over their head and live their life without a house. The cry of not having money to do anything except carry on the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat, rings in every home. So here the author is saying that poverty is a big problem for the people who live in Firozabad, and they don't have any other work to do to earn more money except bangle making, and that's why they are even not able to manage one time full meal in a day, and says each and every home suffering from poverty. The young men echo the lament of their elders. So here the author is saying that the young man who had started this traditional job of bangle making also had the same problem of not having proper food and good resources to earn money except bangle making. So in the same way, their elders also used to cry what they don't have. So lament refers to cry or complain. Further she says, little has moved with time, it seems, in Firozabad. That means with the passing years, there was no development on their conditions such as proper food, education and the place where they lived. Years of mind-numbing toil have killed all initiative and the ability to dream. So after doing hard work for many years, they were not able to earn money what they have expected, and because they became senseless and unable to think something different to earn money. So due to continuous hard work, they killed their dreams and desires because they have been doing hard work and it has not been profitable and lost the ability to dream. Why not organize yourselves into a cooperative? I ask a group of young men who have fallen into a vicious circle of middlemen who trapped their fathers and forefathers. So here the author suggests them that why don't you form a cooperative? That means he suggests them to come together and discuss their problems and needs and find out the best way to resolve it, such as other ways of earn money or so. And says, I asked a group of young men who have fallen into the vicious circle of middlemen. That means she spoke with the man who was involved in a dangerous circle of men or a dangerous circle of middlemen who has cheated their forefathers and fathers, because as the middlemen used to make a false promise, but end of the day they cheat them by taking their bangles and money, and then as per the promise the middlemen never fulfill their promise what they have made to the bangle makers. Even if we get organized, we are the ones who will be hauled up by the police, beaten and dragged to jail for doing something illegal, they say. So here when the author asked them to come together and organize themselves into a cooperative, immediately he replied, if they dare to fight for their rights, police will drag us with no reason into the police station and beat us or maybe send to the jail as if we did something wrong or illegal, and that's the reason why they are not able to be united. There is no leader among them, no one who could help them see things differently. So here the author felt as they had no leader among them, and if they had a leader, he would help them how to deal with the middlemen and how to fight for their rights. Their fathers are as tired as they are. So everybody in this area, including their fathers, also frightened, and they were not able to come together and fight against the middleman. Further she says they talk endlessly in a spiral that moves from poverty to apathy to greed and to injustice. So here the author is saying that the people who live in this area keeps complaining and blaming that it was continuous suffering from poverty to lack of interest and laziness, and then they became greedy to get everything without doing anything, and then to injustice. That means they keeps complaining about their poverty and suffering endlessly. So apathy means a lack of enthusiasm or laziness. Listening to them, I see two distinct worlds. One of the family caught in a web of poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. So while listening to these people in this place, she got to know that there were two separate worlds in Firozabad. So one world belonged to poor people who are stuck in poverty and criticized by the society, and forcefully they are doing their traditional business of bangle making because of the caste in which they are born, and The other a vicious circle of the saukars, the middlemen, the policemen, the keepers of law, the bureaucrats, and the politician. So that means another world is made by dangerous people such as money lenders, middlemen, policemen, law keepers, a government official who are in power, and politicians. So all these people threaten and beat them and keep them separate from each other. Together they have imposed the baggage on the child that he cannot put down. So here she is saying that because of this vicious circle of saukars and middlemen, they put a lot of burden on their children forcefully in order to earn money for the family, and both worlds had forced their children to follow their traditional business of bangle making. Before he is aware, he accepts it as naturally as his father. So once Mukesh became a part of middleman, and then he got to know that the people who are in power will never allow them to grow up in their life. And then Mukesh also accepted that he has to be a bangle maker just like his father. To do anything else would mean to dare. So here the author is saying that if Mukesh wants to do something different from making a bangle, he has to do something different to show them that you want to do something different. And it was not easy in this area because daring is not part of his growing up. That means in Firozabad they have only one work, that is making bangle, and they don't know anything else except bangle making, and one cannot challenge people who are in power to do something different from bangle making. When I sensed a flash of it in Mukesh, I am cheered. So after hearing these words from Mukesh, she felt happy and saw a small flash in Mukesh to challenge them to do something different because he wants to become a motor mechanic. Further she says, I want to be a motor mechanic, he repeats. So again Mukesh repeats that he wants to become a motor mechanic and said he will go to a garage and learn. That means he was determined to go to a garage and learn how to repair and maintain engines of the cars and other vehicles and become a motor mechanic. But the garage is a long way from his home. I will walk, he insists. So after hearing Mukesh, he said, but the garage is far away from your home. How will you go there? Then Mukesh said, I am ready to walk, and would walk up to it and learn motor mechanic. Do you also dream of flying a plane? He is suddenly silent. No, he says, staring at the ground. So here the author asked another question to him, that do you also dream of flying a plane? So after hearing this, he became silent and murmured, no, I don't want to fly a plane, while staring at the ground, because he did not know anything about planes as it was out of his reach due to poverty. In his small murmur, there is an embarrassment that has not yet turned into regret. So here she noticed that he felt embarrassed when he said, no, I don't want to learn fly planes. But still, he was confident to become a motor mechanic because he does not know the importance of flying a plane, and as he never thought about it. Further, he says he is content to dream of cars that he sees hurtling down the streets of his town. So throughout the day, Mukesh used to see different kinds of car moving in his area. So seeing these cars moving, this wish of becoming a motor mechanic has come in his mind, and he wants to drive a car, and says few aeroplanes fly over Firozabad. That means he said he rarely sees aeroplanes fly over Firozabad, or not many planes flew over Firozabad, and that's why he doesn't know anything about planes. But when it comes to car, he sees every day and wanted to drive a car. So this is the end of the chapter Lost Spring, and this chapter talks about the poverty and the child labor. So I hope you like the video. For more informative videos, do subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon so that you get notified whenever new video will be uploaded. So thank you so much for watching once again. Stay safe, stay healthy.